Hello and welcome. Today, it really is my pleasure to introduce a very special team to all of you. This is the leadership team of the India Association of Greater Boston, which is one of the oldest Indian organizations in the New England area. We have with us here Mr. Sanjay Gowda, who is the president of IAGB. We also have Vaishali Gade, who is the vice president, and two other superstars on this team, Jeyanthi Ghatraju and Sutanuka Debashri Basu. Welcome to Lokwani. Namaste. It really is such an incredible thing to see how you have all, in these very, very special times, managed to keep the community together. And really, IAGB has been serving as a leader, I think, in bringing very interesting and new events to the community. So I'm going to ask you, Sanjay, when you took over the leadership of this organization, I'm sure you didn't think about COVID. How were you able to move these organizations into really understanding new things to do so that the community is still supported?
First of all, thank you, Ranjani ji, for having all of us. We are truly honored to be part of this talk series. And so this is a very, very interesting times we are in. We started our team back in October 1st, I believe. That's when the new term started. And we worked very hard on a lot of the initiatives that we wanted to work on. We really put a lot of effort on strategizing what we want to do, how we want to do, and things like that. And we had a wonderful Republic Day. Probably it has the highest participation, I would say, ever. And we have to move out of Burlington, I'm sorry to say, because there was overflowing that day, and we have to look at probably other locations going forward. But we were planning so much for India Day, looking forward to it. And we had entirely kind of revamped the way we wanted to do India Day. And not just the incrementally, what we have been doing, but we wanted to really look at it in a different way. But then within a month or so after the Republic Day, we are all in this one. And of course, in the beginning, we were not sure what is what. And just like all of us, either working from home or other and things like that. So we spent our own time trying to, cater to the needs of the community at that time. We had a lot of webinar sessions, informational, some educational, and we brought the consulate, we brought the legal issues, financial, you name it. We had about 100 to 150 webinar sessions, during that time. And the one important thing is that, of course, any of these issues, especially these issues, matter to all of us as Indian American community, not just one organization here and there. So what we did is we wanted to bring everybody to kind of together and help whatever the help is needed in any of the other communities, small other communities that we have. As you know, we have a lot of organizations, and of course they do a fantastic job in the community. And since we started, the one thing that we always stress upon are things that we wanted to do is that we wanted to do things together. And we want to bring everybody together. And I always say this in our team as well as to everybody that as part of the organizations. Each organization has a specific task to do, a specific goal to objectives and to take care of. But there are issues behind each organization. And that belongs to all of us. And those are meaningful, or those we can solve together only if all of us come together and put our minds together. And that's why, almost 20 to 25 organizations have been coming, we are working together on many things. Even if there is an issue or if there is an initiative they have, we support them. And if there's something we have, they support us. So again, this has to be sustainable, but we are seeding the initiative to take a kind of a bigger platform and making it bigger going forward. But we were very, very happy about that, that we are working together. So COVID times, obviously it was a very, very, it's truly like, we cannot comprehend how things have happened within a period of time. so many things, and we didn't have any time to think through. So while we are busy, solving some of these problems, then we realized, what are we going to do for India Day? This is this question has been bothering me since the lockdown happened, because we were in the middle of very big show, and then what is going to happen. We are like every other day we are thinking through and discussing and things like that. And a month into it, 2 months into it, it started really, we got to think differently. We cannot, it's not going to be a traditional way. Not just only India Day, not just only the way we're doing life, but, it's probably a new norm for all of us. The life is probably changed forever. So how are we going to do at least, what we're going to do?
Right.
So
I was thinking about that. I mean, I think if I look before, pre-COVID, we see we had, IAGB, had been involved in it for some time, and it really was a cultural organization with just two predominant events. There was the Republic Day and the Independence Day, and there was this dream from a very long time to knit the organizations together, and yet there were, a lot of challenges that has happened there. So, Vaishali, from your perspective, what do you think that this team has done differently, that it has been able to bring the community organizations together? And you said you had 150 webinars. That's not a trivial thing. And why do you think they were well attended, and why do you think they were so successful?
So what we have done differently, to rephrase your question, what we have done differently as a team to bring these organizations together. I guess wholeheartedly the team believes in this goal. So if that is the first for any organization, your team needs to believe in that goal. And when you charter on something, everybody needs to embrace that goal and take it as if their goal and work on it. So no matter where you go, that oneness needs to come across, no matter to whom you are talking. And I know a president is one person, but we are 16 of his hands here. And when we go and reach out, of course our reach increases, and that if we all speak the same language, and if we have same thing coming from us, from our actions and from our words, I think that goes a long way. And I felt that is what we have done as a team.
Right. Speaking of team, Tanu, of all the things that has happened, there's been tremendous number of activities that have happened. What stands out in your mind as one of the most unique and unusual? I mean, post-COVID, you have had so many wonderful things that you have done. Is there one that you could speak to and say, hey, that was pretty cool?
Absolutely. Now, do you want me to speak especially for the COVID era, or general, this particular EC?
Maybe both.
Okay, all right.
Or just for the EC.
So about the EC, I think what stands out as a striking, and Ranjani ji, I've worked under, I can proudly say I've worked under this is the 7th president under IAGB, having served all those EC terms. And of course, I've worked with a variety of people, Dr. Anil Saigal included, and each one of them have been a fantastic experience. What stands out for this EC, resonating what Vaishali just said, this is by far one of the most dynamic teams that I've worked with, and by far the most gifted team that I've worked with. Sanjay, Captain Sanjay, as I call him to begin with, I think his vision and his views are endearing and sometimes really intense at times. And that's a compliment for him, because his views are so radical and intense. It kind of comes through as a very positive reinforcement for all of us. And to Vaishali's point, that's what stands out as being part of this EC. Every endeavor, if it's the smallest thing as donating masks to a thing like, oh, that particular food pantry needs some extra hand, or anything in general, Sanjay takes each task and gives it to the team to own it. And then the team feels an ownership to it, which makes things so beautifully done at the end. The end result is just so beautiful to hang on to. If I talk about the COVID times, again, the COVID time is a very disturbing time for all of us globally. It's a huge crisis for all of us. And knowing taking the best making the best out of each situation. We in kindergarten, we learn about waste. But as adults, we forget how to implement it. And I think that's what we have achieved as EC, as a team, the 16 of us, is how to run through the COVID times, keeping in mind the so-called very cliche statement, but the show must go on. And life doesn't stop for anybody. And we have lived it up through a variety of virtual programs throughout the COVID time. In fact, I think all of us will say when I say we have done the most number of activities during the COVID shutdown than any IAGB
Sure.
team has ever done.
Sure.
And that's because as a team, we think alike, and as a team, we ran with it. And each and every, Sanjay talks about it, in each and every meeting that we have, we all own it. We all own it. And that's the ownership that has taken us forward. And that's what's been the most striking thing. It's just such a pleasure to have done this with this team.
That's fantastic. That really is fantastic to see that cohesiveness in the team. And I really think the one silver lining in these very special times is how it has brought out the good in so many people. I think people are not thinking of their differences. I'm seeing that in many, many different ways. We might have fought BC, but post-COVID, we are one group and let's work on that. And speaking of new and innovative things, Jeyanthi, India Day, I know I have worked on many India Days together. I remember standing with you on the Hatchel stage and, really doing interesting things. But now, and the flag hoisting was a very important part of our India Day celebrations all the time. And so how are we going to be hoisting the flag this time? Is there anything innovative and creative that IAGB is doing?
Yes. Before I get to that, I wanted to say one more thing because I wanted to continue on what you had asked Tanu and Vaishali.
Yeah.
Because as you said, I want what you said too. Because I come from a cultural background, I've always done only the cultural part of things. But this term, in fact, I have not done even one of them. I did not do the cultural part in the, and the thing is, that's the beauty of Sanjay, because he knew there is a balance, what I would like to do, what I'm good at, and something that I've never even tried. So there is a balance of that. And I wanted to highlight on the fact that he gave me the things I've never done. Fantastic. And for instance, that COVID yoga session, I mean, that's one very, very successful program that's still ongoing from Nimhans that we, IAGB partnered with. And every morning during the weekdays, we see about 100 people.
Wow.
7 a.m.
Wow.
And that has brought about so much of positivity around, and we are, bringing in more and more people. So I would not have thought of signing up to, lead it ever.
Right. Right.
So that is the one thing I wanted to highlight. And then move on to the second question.
And speaking of yoga, I think it's so appropriate that something so traditional, so Indian is what is knitting everybody together. So we may have our differences, but our roots keep us connected.
And
so
also,
yeah,
many of us thought that, that's going to take so much time, and most of us, I've seen so many saying that I've procrastinated, and I've always, now I set aside everything. 7 a.m., 6:55, I'm on my Zoom session. And it's not just me, but I'm just saying that is something that is so positive that has brought out, the commitment that we wanted to do. Right. I'll do it at some point, and this is the point.
Sure. Yoga, unity, that's a good thing to do. So now tell me about flag hoisting. I'm excited to hear how you're going to do that in an innovative way now.
Well, here's the thing. As Tanu mentioned, we had a little script and we had a little rehearsal, not for this, but earlier. And that was to do with, hey, what did you think when Sanjay said, we are going to do this, we're going to decentralize the celebration, coupling it off from the hatch cell or the City Hall Plaza, we're going to decentralize. And knowing Tanu, she's just one of those ecstatic people. It's like, impossible. impractical, non-viable. And then there is also this, she also mentioned that saying, well, India Day is in the offing. And we've traditionally done it in a grand manner with 14,000 people. That's not happening. When the new world is discovering and looking into new ways of doing it, why not us at IAGB?
Yeah.
And bringing in that flag, I would say flag raising, because in this country, a lot of hoisting is not practical to be done.
You're right. You're right.
So what the whole thing started was, okay, we are going to do the flag raising. And the one question we asked some hundreds of towns is, do you have a policy?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing actually, to step back for a moment, so Tanu, maybe you can tell me, like, what is it actually that we are going to do before we get into how what a difficulty it was to make it happen. So what can you tell me specifically how the flag raising is going to be done, Tanu?
Absolutely. So if you, try to picturize the day off. So on the morning time frame or late morning, early morning through late morning, early afternoon time frame on the 14th of August and 15th. Now, should you ask why August 14th, why a day prior? IAGB, we run the precedence of hosting the India Day a day prior or day after based on the feasibility factors. So a lot of towns, we had to give them this option of choosing a Friday, which is a working day, versus Saturday, which is a non-working day. So while some towns chose 15th, some towns opted for August 14th.
But just a question, what we are going to do is in different towns, you are planning, you talk to the town and you are planning to hoist the flag at the town center or
yes. So on the day off, August 14th and 15th, a few people will gather together in the heart of the town, which could be town common, a high school ground, town hall, or the city hall, as the case may be. And those people will comprise IAGB representatives, the EC representatives, town dignitaries, few town residents, and a few partner organizations wherever applicable. Gather together. Generally, because of COVID safety and compliance guidelines, we are keeping the number to, we are not letting the number cross double digits in majority of the towns, barring a few. So these people will gather together and there will be a very small, cozy, low-key ceremony, starting with brief remarks from the town dignitary, welcoming everybody. Then IAGB EC rep giving a quick speech about why, where, when, sort of thing, followed by the town dignitary calling for the Indian anthem and honoring the Indian flag. And the IAGB dignitary or representative calling for the American anthem and honoring the American flag. And proclamation comes next. We actually made it as a package where we waited for the town to say yes to the flag raising, and then we pushed in the proclamation request and requested them to write a proclamation. Majority of the towns have done it. So this is the point of the day of the event when the town dignitary will officially release the proclamation or certificate or recognition, as they call it, and declare the day as India Day, followed by closing remarks, thank yous, and that's pretty much it. And the beauty of this very low-key, simple ceremony is, as they say, there is beauty in simplicity. And our agenda is to not really attract crowd, because we want them to stay in the safety of their homes, following COVID guidelines, but at the same time, take pride in the fact that their town commemorated India Day and honored the Indian flag.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And now really, Jeyanthi, I want to go back to that point that you were going to make, which is how easy or difficult was this to make this happen? I know you were commenting on the process and I'd love to learn more about that.
Sure. When we let's say we have contacted like 100 towns, 65 of them, literally back and forth. And we have about 35 that have come forward. And most of the times it is like, yes, we have never done this. We don't have a policy. but we don't mind starting it over. But having said, then there was no policy, it was just easier. And there is a policy, you have to make sure it is, done to the way that that satisfies both the, both the sides. So a lot of phone calls, lot of emails, lot of hours and hours of sitting in board of selectmen and, meetings with the town officials.
Yeah.
So that's what the bulk of it is.
That's really fantastic. Actually, to me, this is very interesting. Instead of the end result, the fact that IAGB and the EEC really got involved with so many towns sitting in their board meetings, I think that's very, very special. Immaterial of the outcome, they know now what India is, and even more so than an India Day. I think I see that impact could be really, really tremendous.
Yes. So just to give you an example, yesterday they had some other town had a meeting, and then they said, hey, listen, I want to bring this up because I know some other town is doing, and then they called pretty much, they had the email from Tanu, but that didn't get much attention until some other town did. So they immediately called and say, could you please do anything to make this happen? So we did give the town the latest slot of August 15th, 1:30 p.m.
Sure. No, that's fantastic. That's really fantastic. So Vaishali, of course, this already is very, very innovative. What else are we going to be expecting for India Day this year?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, this is innovative, but the innovation factory doesn't stop here. So again, the question was, okay, so how do we celebrate the India Day and how do we bring it to the masses? So this year we are bringing two professional programs, programs prepared by the professional artists from India. We will be broadcasting them live here during the prime time, so between 6:30 to 10:30 for along with that, we will have many dignitaries who will be attending these programs. I will let Sanjay talk more about that. I'll just talk about the programs. So the two programs I'm talking about, one is Tat Bharatam, brought to us by Abhinav Academy. They are a proclaimed, very renowned dance group. And the program itself looks at the history of India, the rich and diverse history of India, and it's in the dance drama format that they will do that. They have done the production just for us, just for the IAGB, and beautifully shot in the auditorium. That is that Bharatam program. So I know it will be a treat for eyes and ears, and so it will be a good program to watch. And after that, we have one India concert brought to us by Vijay Prakash, who is a Grammy Award winner, and he sings in 7 different languages. Wow, what a talent! And along with him, we will have our own Anuradha Palakriti-ji. She will also be singing some songs. So we will have that program. And again, as I said, the beauty of it, you can watch these beautiful programs right from the comfort of your home. You can have your own watch party at your home.
Surely, I think I can ask my mother also from Joy to join in from California. Usually she's like, oh, India Day, what's going on? So now that's an opportunity. I have to say that Nirupama and Rajendra ji, the first program they did in Boston, they actually stayed with me many years ago. Jeyanthi is nodding, she remembers that, and they're just extraordinary couple. So we really look forward to the program as with everything else. So Sanjay, you are the leader of the ship, Sanjay Ovacha, right? Like, what does Sanjay say? What is his vision? What does he see in the future? Any concluding remarks for our viewers here?
So before I talk about what's the future, let me touch upon a few things I think you asked about earlier. What are the other things that we are doing as part of the India Day, right? So if you don't mind, sure. Again, the pre-COVID, COVID, there are a lot of things have happened. I think it is a challenging time, but, as part of the India Day, when we are brainstorming, what else can we do? And of course, we knew this is not going to be the traditional one. We have to do something. So just to give a preview of what are the other things that we have done. One, we involve our kids in the cultural activities all the time, especially on the India Days. We know so many kids have participated in India Day and many other organization cultural activities. What we said, hey, we don't know. We don't know whether they are very well aware of what the journey of India's independence.
Beautiful.
They're all participating, but we know because we have our, we may be out of India, but we are still, Indianness hasn't gone away from us. So, and then we said, we're going to have a class, we're going to have some course where we're going to teach journey of India's Independence Day, all the struggle and everything that happened. So we partnered with Shishu Bharati, and we have a 6 weeks course running for middle school and high schoolers, and over 100 kids registered for it, and it's still ongoing. And our secretary Lata Rao is leading that effort. And then, during this COVID time and all of that, I think Jeyanthi touched upon, we partner with Nimhans. It's a government organization and a very research-oriented, a very well-known organization in India. And they have started the yoga daily practice back in April timeframe. And this is a 4 months. Every day we are doing a yoga, daily practice, and over 100 people participate in it. It was just so satisfying that, we are kind of helping especially during this time. And then, we want to, again, we are celebrating all of this within our own community, but we always said that we want to take it to the mainstream. We want to, create this awareness, and we are always struggling. But I think the current situation gave us an opportunity to think differently. So then we said, we're going to, let's create some awareness, publishing what India is all about, India's culture, in whatever it is, just a little bit that we can, shed some light on that in the mainstream. I think to some extent the purpose is served. So there's an effort that we took upon ourselves. And then the biggest one, as we talked about, is a flag hoisting. Yes, the flag hoisting, rising is probably a ceremony, a formal ceremony, and it is a symbolic in many ways to celebrate our culture, our pride and passion for our country and love for our country. But more importantly, this project gave us an opportunity to create that awareness at the grassroots level in each of these towns. And every town is aware of not just about IAGB or Indian American community, what India is all about, what it really means. And that is the important thing for all of us to kind of spread that awareness among all of that. The only when they know what it is, they respect more. And it's the same thing for us. Only we know what other cultures and communities are, we respect more. And this provided a platform and the opportunity and picked up the conversation with many, many of these towns. Some of them may know, some of them are aware of it, but this definitely, some of the board of selectmen in their town meeting talked about hours just about this, fact. And that was very satisfying and gratifying. Our objective and goal of the whole project largely was served, with that having the conversation. And of course, we have to celebrate the pride and definitely that's there. But this grassroots level of creating awareness was what was most important. What we observed in this, and that was one of the basic objectives also when we started this project. So in addition to that, we have a India Day magazine. It's not just about the way we have been doing it, but also we have pretty much the articles and experiences from all across the Indian American community in our Greater Boston area, and of course all our partners, their experiences pre-COVID, during COVID, Indian Independence Day. We are celebrating nostalgia, kids, young, seniors, everybody, and kind of putting all that experience together, and we are binding it as basically India Day magazine, which will be coming out in a couple of days. And then, of course, we always do the Community Youth Excellence Awards. We recognize few for a couple of kids from the extraordinary kids from our community, and we are going through that process as well. So all of these is all that leading to the India Day. And the India Day, Vaishali talked about, two big things that we are that are happening, because this is a time supporting in many ways. One, we need a quality professional program. This is what we are kind of thinking are in a direction that we are going also prior to COVID. And this gave a little bit of even a better opportunity to kind of make that happen in a different way. And so these are absolutely fantastic artists, and bringing that quality program to us on that day. The event started at 6:30 p.m. And ends at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. The reason I say Eastern, because there are a lot of other organizations and came forward and said, hey, we want to actually, can we actually advertise, or can we promote your event? We want our organization members also watch this because it's such a wonderful program. So we are expecting a lot more people from across the US, perhaps across the globe, virtually no border. So they hopefully will all enjoy and participate in it. So in addition to that, so we also have invited a lot of dignitaries, prominent elected representatives. So we have Congressman Joe Kennedy joining us as a guest of honor on the day of the event. And we also have our new Consul General, Randir Jaiswal. He will also be joining us on that day. And we have U.S. Senator Edward Markey. He will be joining us also and addressing the community. And our Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker, he will be joining. If he cannot join because of the situation that he's dealing with, he will provide a message to the community, which we will be playing as well. And a few others are also in the pipeline. Because of the timing and all the other logistics we are working through, there are a couple of union government ministers from India will be joining live to wish the Indian American community on this special occasion. So it's an entire package, so the things that are leading to India Day, number of things that we talked about. On the day, such a wonderful quality program. Ashwa Symphony also joining us and playing few songs. And actually they're playing national anthems for us. So it's an entire complete package for everybody to come together and celebrate this special occasion. I always said to all the organizations, this is not about IAGB. This is not an IAGB celebration. This is not a one organization celebration. This celebration belongs to all of us. This is a celebration of our pride, our culture, and our heritage. And this is the national celebration. As I said earlier, we might be out of India, but Indianness is not out of us. And it's always with us. And this is what we recognize and identify ourselves. And this pride is what we are celebrating together. And we're so glad that, and all the many local community organizations joining hands in many different ways and participating in this. And there's no better way to come together and especially even times like this and celebrate such a beautiful event. And we are grateful for all the organizations, all the community members and volunteers, supporting and making it happen. And besides, all this is possible because of the extremely dedicated team that we have. And it takes a village to do things like this. And of course, when we talk about the events in-person events, but this has its also in own challenges. And as you look at it, all the things that we have done during COVID times, all the things that we have done leading to it, as Tanu pointed out, we did not have even any rest between all of these things. We have just every day we have events and things like that, and so I'm so grateful and for the entire team putting so much effort and honored to be kind of part of this team, to have this extremely dedicated community service mindset team coming together and making this happen. This team is probably the times like this is the best team to be there to do things that have that has been done so far.
I cannot agree with you more. I have had the honor of working with all of you, and Sanjay, I think not only are they dedicated, you just have very talented people on your team. You just are very lucky to not just have passionate, but talented people who really care to make a difference. And I think that is the blessing. And I think it's very interesting that you say that this is the year that you have made everybody familiar with Indianness through the selectman thing. We have a potential VP candidate named, Kamala, she's a candidate today. Who knows, we might have a Kamala as the president tomorrow. So it is good that we have made everybody aware. So very, very symbolic. I wish you all the very best. I know that the work that you have done is going to be impactful, not just for today, but for years to come. So God bless you all. And I look forward to seeing India Day. And I hope all our Lokvani viewers will see it as well. Thank you for your time today. Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Ranjani ji.